Hi everyone, it's the Fuel Tech here. Today in part 2 of our series on racing fuels, we are going to look at a fuel specification chart. And on this chart, it is going to give you the different properties of the fuels and what you need to look for when trying to tune your engine to a specific fuel. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chart and I'll explain everything out to you in greater detail. I went ahead and just pulled up a Sunoco Maximal. It is a very popular fuel among racers. It's a very high, fast burning fuel with a low specific gravity, and it is leaded. So let's go ahead and take a look at what all this means. We got our specific gravity here, and really the definition of specific gravity is it measures the density of gasoline compared to water. In other words, it's the weight of the fuel is all it is. This is a 706, which is a very lightweight fuel. Pump gasoline has anywhere from a 740 to a 760, and the reason the numbers kind of go back and forth there is because pump gasoline is very inconsistent, whereas what you see is what you get right here, consistency, and that's what we're all after. You have to know the specific gravity of the fuel that you're looking to purchase. Simply because you're going to have to rejet your carburetor. If you have a heavier fuel to start off with and you go to a lighter weight fuel such as this, what you're going to want to do is you'll want to richen the jets up normally by 2 jet sizes. And if you have a lighter fuel like this to start off with and you go to a heavier fuel, you'll want to lean the jets out by, say, about 2 jet sizes and then tweak it down from there. Normally, the lower the specific gravity or the lighter the fuel is, the faster it will burn. The heavier it is, the slower it will burn. But that also depends on the formulation of the fuel as well. So just don't take what I said to heart. It is on formulation too. But in all general purpose speaking, lighter is faster, heavier is slower. We've all seen this at the pump on our next one on our properties here. We got the anti-knock index, which is 116 octane on this fuel. Okay, how they find this number here? Just to let you guys know, research octane number. How they find this number here is basing it on how the fuel in the engine is at normal operating conditions. Whereas on the motor octane, they measured under severe conditions or wide open throttle. They add both these numbers together, R plus M, which research plus the motor. They divide it by 2, and they come up with their final octane, which of 116. Remember, guys, this has nothing to do with how fast the fuel burns, as like many myths and people say. Nothing to do with it. All this means right here is the resistance to detonation. That's what your anti-knock index tells you. So just remember that. Never, ever, ever base this on how fast or slow the fuel burns. The next one we come down, the reed vapor pressure is 5.9. What this number means is the higher the reed vapor pressure, the easier it is to ignite the fuel on a cold start engine. The lower, the harder it is. Fuel manufacturers, for pump gas, will adjust this number according to where you live in the country. If you live in a colder environment, the reed vapor pressure is going to be very high to light it quicker, to crank a cold engine, versus if you live down in the south, where I live in North Carolina, during the winter time, since ours are milder here, our winters, this number will be lower because our engines will be easier to start. You need to look at this, especially on race fuels, simply because the higher the number that you go in reed vapor pressure, the easier it is to get a condition known as vapor lock. And vapor lock is simply that liquid gasoline in the fuel line can actually turn into a vapor or have vapor pockets in there, which is horrible if that ever happens, and you can really damage your motor, especially if you're using nitrous oxide or forced induction. And we'll get into the definition of vapor lock later in my question and answer videos. The next thing we're going to look at is our distillation curve. Guys, this right here tells us how fast or slow the fuel is going to burn. On an initial boiling point and a 10% evaporation, the lower the number, the faster it's going to burn, and lower RPM, and it will also let you know that that lower number will also give you faster throttle response. The lower the number on your top end, being your 90%, your final boiling point, this is going to indicate, since it is a lower number, that this fuel would be perfect for high RPM engines, extreme high RPM. I'm talking anywhere from 8, 9, 10,000 RPMs or more. You need to have a faster burning fuel when you are running at extreme high RPM, simply because if you run a slow burning fuel at a high RPM, the engine will actually be turning over faster than the fuel can keep up. So just keep that in mind. Remember, it has nothing to do with octane. This is going to tell you if it burns slow or if it burns fast. And we'll get into that this spec more here in questions and answers videos as well. The next thing we're going to look at, this is a leaded fuel for off-road use only. You're not allowed to run leaded fuel on the roads in the United States except for closed course tracks. It is against the law, and it has been since the early 70s when they started putting pollution control devices on vehicles and they converted over to unleaded fuel. The color is red. The manufacturer puts a dye in their fuels simply for identification purposes. So if you were to pick up a drum of Sunoco and didn't have a label on it, and you saw that it was red, you'd be able to go on their website and find out exactly which fuel it is. It has no oxygen in it. It's measured in weight, and then it'll have the percent. If it did have oxygen, it would give you a percent of the oxygen that's in there. There are two types of oxygenates that race fuel manufacturers use. One is MTBE and the other one is ethanol. And we'll get into that later too on our questions and answers. The dielectric constant, this is kind of hard to explain. I'll do the best that I can. This is a negative 0.9. In other words, it doesn't have any oxygen in it. This is a little thing here to where it will tell the track officials whether you're cheating or not. In other words, they will use test equipment to test your fuels. If it's showing a negative, like a negative 0.9 or 0.7, whatever, it's telling them that you're in spec with their rules and that you're not using any oxygen. However, if that came up to a positive, let's just say easy math, positive 5, positive 10, it's letting them know that there's some form of oxygen in your racing fuel. Which, of course, that's going to give you a performance advantage over your competitors. If you did not have this on your spec sheet, but you did have the oxygen right there, if you did have, let's say, 2 or 4% oxygen, it's going to automatically tell you that you're going to have a positive or high dielectric content. If you had no oxygen, you're going to have a negative low dielectric constant. So this right here is our fuel spec sheet, and what we'll do is we'll do a question and answers video next, and we'll go over some of this stuff and go in a little more deeper detail, explain some of this stuff out, and little better layman's terms to help you understand it. But you definitely need to know your specs when you choose a fuel. Choosing a fuel is either going to make or break you. You just don't take a guess on, well, will this work or maybe it'll work. No, you need to understand what you're getting. So let's go ahead and do some question and answers. And thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, again, feel free to email me, ncdogman@aol.com.